Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Sergeant Kelly Linger. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony around Australia. We warmly welcome the delegation from the Indonesian government who are joining us here for this evening's ceremony. During the ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors and students on behalf of the following schools. From Queensland, St Joseph's School, Billawheeler, and Our Lady of the Southern Cross College, Dalby, and from Victoria, Trinity Grammar School, Kew. Please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Boys and girls, please sit. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the hearts of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and other operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private William George Ball. William Ball was born around 1894 to William and Kate Ball of Bendigo, Victoria. He attended the Violet Street State School and went on to work as a driver. He was a keen sportsman, taking an active interest in athletics and boxing, and was a prominent player for the West Bendigo and Press Australian Rules football clubs. He was also an active member of the local Methodist Sunday School. When war broke out in 1914, Ball was engaged to Ruby Evelyn Reid. He enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in November 1914, a few months before his 21st birthday, and needed his mother's permission to do so. He was accepted for active service and began an extended period of training. Private Ball did not leave Australia for active service overseas until July 1915. He left with reinforcements to the 21st Battalion and was later transferred to the 23rd Battalion. There he met with an old friend from Bendigo, Private Oliver Heath, and resumed a strong friendship. A few months later, on 20 September 1915, Private Ball embarked on the troop ship Georgian to join the rest of his battalion on the Gallipoli Peninsula. He arrived after the major offensive actions of the campaign had taken place, and although quieter, the peninsula was still a very dangerous place to be. His friend, Private Oliver Heath, reported that Will met his death at 5:30 on 21st of November 1915, his death being instantaneous. So you can rest assured he never had a painful or lingering death. I was almost beside myself when I heard the news, though it's not very far away, for Will and I were great chums, not only here, but in faraway Bendigo. You have my heartfelt sympathies, for I feel his death very much. And you can feel proud, for he died a hero's death at his post. Private William Ball was buried nearby, and his sergeant arranged for a cross to mark the place. He was later reinterred in the cemetery at Lone Pine, where he lies today under the words chosen by his mother. In loving memory of our darling son and our dear brother, sadly missed. William Ball was 21 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour to my right, among more than 60,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private William George Ball, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. Thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and good evening.